Hello, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen around the world. It's time for the WADcast. That is the Writers, Actors, Directors Podcast, brought to you by myself and the one guy that we all call Mr. Moneybags, Mr. Brandon. Perhaps in a moment, but first, we got to get a little bit of greetings out of the way. After all, Happy New Year! Now, in our defense, we each have loved ones that we wanted to spend the holidays with, and since that's what we care about most in the world, that's exactly what we did. We did pre-record a episode for you to come out on New Year's Day, so technically this is our first actual live show of the year, so Happy New Year is definitely in order. And what a year it's turning out to be already. We're barely a week over into it, and you know what? I'm going to say this. For what 2020 was, as far as a serious ass whip, 2021 is turning out to be the more cartoony version of the same thing. It is insane. There's some heinous stuff going on, and you know what? Personal politics be damned. What went on in the Capitol was absolutely atrocious, and the only silver lining of that is, wow, these people looked like complete morons. You couldn't find more cartoony people to be in opposition to. It's ridiculous. Mm-hmm. Oops. I think I saw that.
how much I actually left. at it more than anything else. And much like I laughed at the people that were looting stores because it was ridiculous to me. It's a failed way to get a point across. Like, we can be so much better than that as a society, but quite a few of us choose, not to be. So, but oh my God,
let me put it in a way that some people might understand a little bit better, especially those that listen to conservative talk radio. So, what you all need to understand is that when you vote, yes, you can vote for whomever you please, if it's Donald Trump or if it's Joe Biden or if it's Bugs Bunny. It's all the same at the end of the day. You are exercising the power of the people, the power to vote. And if your candidate doesn't win, then by all means you have the ability to go on Facebook and go on Twitter and whine and bitch and complain. It doesn't matter if you're conservative or a liberal. It is a free space to voice your crappy opinions. What you don't have the right to do is threaten people in a very public forum and make believe that suddenly that is protected free speech, or if you get kicked off of those platforms that you are protected with First Amendment rights. No, these are private companies. They own everything you post, and they will clean it out as they see fit. That is what capitalism is in America. We have the ability to vote with our wallets and vote with our memberships as to whom we support. Thank you.
Is that actually what conservative talk radio sounds like?
That kind of tone.
Oh my God, that was nauseating.
That kind of message.
That was absolutely nauseating. My God. How? Okay. Well, there you have it.
But you know what else people take to the internet to talk about? Movies.
Yep.
And we're going to go in the opposite direction of that. We're not talking about, crappy movie. Well, they might be. We don't know yet. But we're not talking about things that we aren't looking forward to seeing. We're going to talk about things we are looking forward to seeing. And that is why I cue the transition on the visual if you're watching on Facebook Live. We're talking about our most anticipated films of 2021. There we go. There it is. Nice. And, in the description it says, Josh and Brandon are going to be talking about the most anticipated films of 2020. Oh, wait, I mean 2021. Never mind, same thing.
Yep.
Because that's what it all boils down to, right? We are basically talking about the movies that we wanted to see last year that are coming out this year.
No, absolutely. And that's the thing. Like, that's the thing. There's a lot of movies that are coming out that, I'm honestly, personally, very, very excited about. But definitely looking forward to Ghostbusters. I should have already owned that, but 2020 sucked, so that has not happened. Been looking forward to it.
Let's get into this then. Ghostbusters Afterlife. It is starring, it's directed by Jason Reitman, written by Jason Reitman, Dan Aykroyd. Harold Ramis is, getting his screenwriting credit, and Gil Keenan. Story by Jason Reitman and Gil Keenan. I'm trying to find the release date here.
I think it's in
June 11th, 2021.
I was going to say, I'm pretty sure they still kept it as a summer release.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right at the beginning of the summer. Kids getting out of school. It's going to be, I think it's going to be a really good take on the Ghostbusters, and it's definitely the third movie that we should have gotten over the whatever they did. I'm hesitant to use the term remake, since they didn't remake it, and reboot kind of implies like a new series, like they're rebooting the whole thing up. And in fact, it not only failed to boot up, but it also led to a relaunch of the original Ghostbusters. So here we are. We're gonna have Peter Venkman and Ray and Winston, and it's going to be what? What would you say? Paul Rudd's in there. I think one of the kids from Stranger Things is in there.
Yeah, I forget the kid's name, but he's been in a few things. He was in both the the film adaptations of Stephen King's It and Wolfhard, or I forget his name, but yeah, I mean he's a talented kid. Yeah, that's it, Finn Wolfhard. But I'm excited because he's actually a very talented actor.
Yeah,
and
sure.
Also on top of that, just the whole scene with the Ecto-1, when they unveiled that Ecto-1, my God, dude. I'm not a mechanic, okay? I don't get turned on by classic cars, but the Ecto-1, if I were a car, my God, I'd go right through the tailpipe, man.
It sounds like
it'd be covered in ectoplasm.
Did you ever see, what was it? Southland Tales?
I have, yes.
The commercial for the car where it mounts the other one, and then that hose just it just starts on the back. Yeah, that was hilarious.
Oh yeah, no, I mean it was just one of those deals where even with it being as beat up as it was in that movie, I'm just like, you know what? I still want that car. I would have that car, and that would be the decrepit car that my kids would never drive, ever.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I actually it wasn't an Ecto-1, but I got a chance to drive, the Millimeter Cadillac hearse, way back when. Just something I was checking out. Those cars are, I think they're like 15 to 20 feet long, and they're not remotely aerodynamic in the least bit. But my God, I didn't want to get out of it. The guy's like, okay, well, I was like, I'm sitting there thinking, it's like, this is the Ecto-1. The guy's like, yes, this is the same year model they use for the Ecto-1. I need you to get out of the car. I'm like, I don't want to. I want to live here. Oh, good times. But yeah, Ghostbusters is my number one that I'm looking forward to. I've been waiting for a proper sequel to the original Ghostbusters movies, for 30 years. Like, damn it, I deserve this.
Well, the synopsis for Ghostbusters Afterlife reads, when a single mom and her two kids arrive in a small town, they begin to discover their connection to the original Ghostbusters and the secret legacy their grandfather left behind.
Yep. And you know what? There are people posting on like Reddit. There was someone posted on Reddit saying, "Oh yeah, well we saw this movie and this is what happens and this is what happens. This is what happens." Like, okay, that's cool. Like, I read the whole thing and just, oh well, they're really like Oscar is a son of the keymaster and the gatekeeper, yada yada yada. Like, Rick Moranis was a real father. Like, the timeline doesn't add up. because Oscar was an infant in Ghostbusters 2, which took place 5 years after the first Ghostbusters. So is he Stewie Griffin? Does he stay a baby? He never grows up?
Yes. Sorry, I felt
I
like
swear to God,
I have a
if
definitive
Dana Barrett
answer.
shows up and she's holding her Oscar Mayer wiener of a kid, and just he's still a little baby, I'm going to shit myself. But I have a feeling that like the whole thing was just complete bullshit. It was written by someone that obviously didn't pay attention to the first movie or the second movie. Because then they're even saying it's like, oh, it cancels out the second movie. It's like, well, then how would Oscar even be in it?
Touche.
So, anyway, so what about you? Coming off of Ghostbusters, I'll just keep talking about it all night long. What about you? Like, what are you excited about?
Well, I think the first thing that comes to mind is one of the movies that has garnered a lot of controversy over the last few weeks. Not for any valid reasons by any means, but No Time to Die, directed by Kiri Fukunaga, and of course starring Daniel Craig as James Bond and Rami Malek, Anna de Armas. Anyway, there is never a bad time to release a new Bond movie, and unfortunately 2020 was the original scheduled release time for it. But hopefully, like a lot of these movies, they get a second chance to kind of go over everything with a fine-tooth comb and really make everything spectacular. Because, quite frankly, I'm going to be a little more than irritated if any of these delayed movies are less than, we'll say less than 3 stars, because there's so much time to just fix what you have, and if it's just sitting on a shelf and you're not doing anything to it, why would you wait? We have all of these different ways to release movies, but hopefully, because during the original release, when the original release date was coming up, before everything was delayed, I had Kevin, and longtime listeners of Semicore Studios know Kevin as the original co-host and part founder of Semicore, and he is also the resident James Bond expert. He is the James Bond fan in the crew, and I'm just going to have him on talk about the new movie, and that's always a fun thing to do, especially for something when people are really excited for it. And just the fact of the matter that it's a James Bond movie is what makes this exciting, as well as the passing of the torch, so to speak, to a new 007, which I feel has to be clarified. No, nobody is saying that, oh, James Bond's going to be a girl. God forbid. No, that's not what's going on. 007, that's a agent identifier. That's nothing more than something that gets passed from agent to agent. In fact, I do believe on this show before I pitched my idea of how 007 kind of became, and I even threw in James Bond. I was like, 007 James Bond, it's like the Doctor, right? It just goes to the new guy. Then that I would have loved that to have that kind of Doctor Who lineage, as far as passing the buck from face to face. But one of the things that I'm most excited for, especially in this one, is having Rami Malek as the villain, who has proven time and time and again that he is a wonderful actor. And I'm not going to say anything like, I don't even know what people would say to disparage him. I thought he did an amazing job in everything that he's done, and I really look forward to seeing the Daniel Craig Rami showdown. And of course, I believe it was, we talked about it before, the Night Clerk, where I absolutely I developed a little crush on Anna de Armas. I put it out there. So you will be hard pressed to find a more beautiful Bond girl. Definitely going in the top. But when it comes to No Time to Die, the synopsis reads as follows. Bond has left active service and is enjoying a tranquil life in Jamaica. His peace is short-lived when his old friend Felix Leiter from the CIA turns up asking for help. The mission to rescue a kidnapped scientist turns out to be far more treacherous than expected, leading Bond onto the trail of a mysterious villain armed with dangerous new technology.
Okay.
So that is the new Bond movie that is coming out. I don't have that in front of me. Dang it, Bobby. That would be April 2nd, 2021. So mark your calendars, April number 2 this year. Hopefully, fingers crossed. And that puts the ball firmly back in your court, Mr. Brandon. What other movies are you looking forward to this year?
Ghostbusters, Afterlife.
Yeah, we talked about that already, but what else?
No, I'm actually curious about Black Widow. Not thrilled. I was never excited about Black Widow, but it's like I'm down for it. Like MCU has done great with a lot of their standalone films, and Scarlett Johansson has actually made a name for herself as Black Widow in the series, all the way up until her final scene in what do you call it? In Endgame. But I'm very curious, like what they're going to do with this one. I've seen a lot of pictures, and I've read a lot of really great stuff about it, and I'm thrilled about that one. So, Black Widow is definitely on my radar of things I want to see.
I think whenever a Marvel movie is released, it has become a major event in cinema because you are, in my opinion, guaranteed to not be wasting your time. Something about it is generally going to be considered enjoyable, right?
Yep.
This one is, of course, it's directed by Kate Shortland, written by Jack Schaefer, Eric Pearson, and Ned Benson, starring, naturally, Scarlett Johansson. What I loved about the trailer that they've released so far was David Harbour, of course, mostly known for Stranger Things, I think, at this point, and how he takes on the role of, say, it reminds me of that high school athlete that's put on like 30 years and maybe 50 pounds, and he's trying to put on his spandex again.
Yeah.
I really like that idea of someone that used to have it, then lost it, then tried to get it again, is going to be doing the super ring thing. And considering how just intense the source material actually is, it's going to be interesting how they make the chuckles come.
No, absolutely.
But this has definitely been on my radar for a long time, and watching how it unfolds and how it unties, or how it does tie to the Marvel Cinematic Universe at large, it has me very curious, with a release date of May 7th. And for those of you keeping track at home, in 1 week, I believe it is on the 15th, next Friday, WandaVision is also going to be coming out, and that will be kicking off the next phase of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. That's something Disney Plus can't seem to miss. They've just been killing it, especially with like the Mandalorian. Oh, I really, really enjoy this. So The synopsis for Black Widow. Natasha Romanoff, also known as Black Widow, confronts the darker parts of her ledger when a dangerous conspiracy with ties to her past arises. Pursued by a force that will stop at nothing to bring her down, Natasha must deal with her history as a spy and the broken relationships left in her wake long before she became an Avenger.
See, that sounds that sounds awesome to me. Because, like, that's one thing that I like about the. Someone asked me one time, like, why in all these other Avengers movies or all these other, Marvel movies, why the Avengers don't just show up and save the day. I had to explain to them, like, all these all the Avengers, they have their own things going on. They're not always a team. They're a team when they have to be a team. But yeah, Iron Man 3 could probably put a call out to somebody to help him a little bit. Going against a worldwide terrorist. Now, I personally, I would assume that would be an Avengers level threat of an international terrorist, right? But at the same time, I told them, it's like, well, in Iron Man 3, I like the movie because that is Tony Stark, the entire movie being Tony Stark, using his own, just gumption to get through everything. Like, he had to be inventive again. He had to, work without his suits for the first time in an entire movie, for the most part, in, all three films. But I had to point out, I was like, well, Tony Stark also had, 100 Iron Man suits in his basement. Why didn't they just show up and blast out the helicopter from the sky before it launched a missile at him? You don't want lazy writing. You want something really to draw you in and watch. But what they do with their standalone movies, they do a great job with them.
That is absolutely true, in my opinion.
So, and in all honesty, all these standalone movies that we've had so far, Thor, Iron Man, and Captain America, The Incredible Hulk, I guess if you count that, although that wasn't really, that wasn't really considered. Well, I guess it was in the same canon, and it still is, but it's a different studio. It's The Incredible Hulk's Universal, right?
Yeah, and Universal owns the rights to individual Hulk movies.
Yeah,
but which Hulk are you talking about?
The Incredible Hulk, the one that came out in 2008, right after 2008, 2009, one of those two, right after Iron Man.
Yeah, that one had Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark in it.
Yep, at the very end of the movie. But that's what I'm saying, though, it was a different studio. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's still it's considered MCU, but it's technically owned by Universal. The Hulk himself is owned by Universal. They just kind of were doing for
Spider-Man.
Yeah, they're doing the same thing that Disney's doing for Spider-Man. I'm sorry, that Sony's doing with Spider-Man.
Yeah, and this was all pre-Disney, too.
Yep.
So it was Marvel Studios making the deals with Universal, getting the Hulk into the mix.
Yeah.
And it's weird because between the two Hulk movies, it seems like the second one is not a sequel of the first one, but it does recognize some of the events in the opening sequence. So it's like, it's not a sequel, but it's definitely not all by itself. So that's weird, in my opinion. That's an interesting little thing. But moving on, I'm going to say Last Night in Soho. Are you familiar with this one?
Yeah.
Directed by and written by Edgar Wright. Edgar Wright, also always a fan favorite. Baby Driver, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, World's End. You know Edgar Wright.
Yeah,
And
I know who that is.
well,
Who the hell doesn't?
I'm we have an audience that might not be as familiar with names as the two of us. So I'm kind of just laying it out there for everybody. It is I should get the dates before I start talking about these things. But starring Thomasin McKenzie, Anya Taylor-Joy, Matt Smith. Love Matt Smith. Terrence Stamp, James Phelps. It got an awesome cast. It looks like it's going to be very interesting. I don't know what else to really shine on this other than it's going to be a very fun, very enjoyable movie to watch, and it's definitely one that I'm really anticipating. It fits all the needs of this particular episodes very well.
Yep. No, I've actually been interested in that. I was curious about that one. So, but I think one that I'm actually really excited for is I don't know if you've heard of it. Nobody with Bob Odenkirk.
Oh, really?
Have you not heard of it?
I can't say that I have.
It's actually it's kind of like Bob Odenkirk is kind of like a no, just see, here's the description for this one on IMDb. A bystander who intervenes to help a woman being harassed by a group of men becomes a target of a vengeful drug lord. And basically, he's just supposed to be like this badass character, which I'm interested in because you know him as Saul Goodman for the most part. He's been in quite a few things, but pretty much
he's hilarious.
He suffers from in the movie. He suffers. Okay, here's the actual Wikipedia. Hutch Mansell is a mild-mannered family man who suffers from PTSD. One night, when two thieves break into a suburban home, he declines to defend himself or his family, thinking it will cause other traumatic experiences. When his neighbor gets attacked by the same two thieves, Hutch springs into action and murders the two thieves, helping the neighbor. However, Mansell and his family are targeted by a vengeful Russian drug lord who threatens to retaliate against the Mansells. And it's just like if you look at the trailer to this thing, it's just he's a badass in the trailer. I'm like, wow, okay.
Yeah, I'll have to watch the trailer for sure. Directed by Ilya Nashuler.
Yeah.
Christopher Lloyd's in it.
Yep. Which is another thing I'm excited about. I love me some Christopher Lloyd.
Mm-hmm. Wait, that sounded really weird about Christopher Lloyd.
Oh, I don't care.
Let's just weird
it up, man.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And Israel, thank you for joining in on the chat. That's about time we have someone that joins in here. No, yeah, exactly. No, he said it's an awesome trailer. No, it definitely is an awesome trailer. Josh, you need to watch it. It's I'll even wait for you while you watch it, and I'll carry the show.
Well, if I watch it on the computer, the audio is going to pipe into the show, and everyone's going to hear the trailer.
Then turn on the damn captions and live the life of a deaf man for 2 minutes. Okay,
that's not a bad idea.
Speaking of deaf people, I was this is a very sincere question that I had that I posted on Facebook. I was watching Green. No, I was watching Green Home. It's like the Vietnamese or Korean. I'm sorry, Korean rather. Series on Netflix about a bunch of monsters that are attacking and everything else, and all the humans turn into monsters, but some humans gain monstrous traits but kept their humanity. And I have this habit of watching things with the captions on, okay? And the captions say, "Oh, soothing music." I'm so curious from just from a deaf person's perspective, when they see things like I don't know, like soothing music, upbeat music, whatever. Like, well, I mean, what if they've always been deaf? Like they're watching this thinking, huh, I wonder what that sounds like. Like I'm so curious about that. But yeah, just it really just caught my like I saw a meme like, oh, scary, like what was it? Captions, scary music. And then there's a picture of like a guy jumping and said deaf person watching a horror film. And the guy's jumping out of his seat throwing the popcorn. Oh man. Oh God. Israel triggered. uh this is the worst show to listen to for anyone who is easily offended. So like we once in a very rare while will ever even discuss politics. But the level of offensiveness in our conversations, Josh, is just through the roof. I go back and listen to things sometimes in some of our past shows, and I'm just thinking, wow, I said that? Holy shit, Josh said that? And through your silence, I assume that you are watching the watching the trailer with captions on. It's okay. Right now, this is the Brandon show. So, welcome to the WADcast starring Brandon. God, but there's also there's other movies. We were talking about Marvel movies earlier, and Shang-Chi is coming out this year.
What
And
the
Venom,
hell, man?
What?
That was Bob Odenkirk doing all that stuff.
I know. I told you. It's actually pretty badass.
Wow. That looks
I told you.
pretty rad.
Like I just saw it come up on like a recommendation on YouTube, I think. I'm like, oh, okay. Saul Goodman's in he's in an action film. I got to see the guy that pisses pants in front of Walter White and see what he's doing here. Thank you. But sure enough, he's just being a Billy Badass in the movie. Like, okay, go you, Saul Goodman. I would definitely call Saul.
Wow, that moved up to the top 5 things I gotta see for sure, and it's out next month.
See, my biggest thing is I'm just happy that now you know what it's like to be a deaf person.
Yes, I guess I do.
For our hearing impaired friends. I can't say they're listeners of our show, but
Oh, then why am I even worried about offending the deaf audience? This is an audio podcast.
Yeah, listen, they can't hear us. Oh God. Okay, I'm going to stop. I'm going to. Mom, if you're watching this or if you're listening to this, I'm sorry, but you did raise me. So my failure as a level-headed, sensitive adult is kind of your failure as a parent. So
yep. These are facts.
Mom, I'm kidding. I love you. You did the best you could.
The
so yeah, but
always win.
But no, while we were talking about Black Widow earlier, that reminded me with Shang-Chi and also Venom 2.
Yeah.
Are supposed to come out this year. Venom, I will say, I didn't mind Venom. Was it great? Oh God, no. It was pretty rough. And they also cut out the whole Spider-Man storyline, the black suit, all that stuff. And we could have had another dancing Peter Parker, but we did not. But
in the new Spider-Man movie, we could have 3 dancing Peter Parkers.
Oh God. Oh my Lord. Could you imagine that? Just you'll have Tom Holland, who just got his ass kicked, and he's sitting in a corner of an alley in a building, just sitting on a chair, just wondering if he's made a mistake or second guessing something, feeling down on his luck. And then Tobey Maguire comes in and says, "No," puts baby Peter Parker in a corner. And then you hear, "No, I had the time of my life," and they start dancing, right? And then all three of them start going into the choreographed dancing from Dirty Dancing.
Show yourself the door, Brandon. No, but honestly, I imagine this, exterior alleyway day. It's following a scene where Spider-Man has a decisive victory over one of his foes after, getting some coaching from the older Peter Parker, Tobey Maguire, right? You getting this in your head? And he like starts dancing in the alley, and Toby's Peter's like, "No, don't do that. You look ridiculous."
Okay.
I would love that. Okay, so moving along. Another one of my most anticipated films of 2021, and I don't think this comes as a surprise to anybody that's listened to the show for more than 5 minutes, although in this episode there's been 100% less Hamilton than others. In the Heights. In the Heights is... It should have already been out, like your Ghostbusters Afterlife. No, I'm not going to say that it's on the same level, as far as anticipation that you have for Ghostbusters Afterlife. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you would trade your girlfriend for a bootleg copy of that movie today.
Well, I wouldn't, not permanently, but I would
definitely for a weekend.
I mean. Let's be honest here, okay? I mean, I would gladly trade Danielle for a few things in life. But Justin is in the chat too. What's up, buddy? Friend of mine from Florida. No, I would trade Danielle for a few things. Now, a bootleg copy of Ecto 1. I'm sorry, of Ghostbusters Afterlife. I don't think I'd trade her for that. I'd ignore her while I watched it, but I would definitely watch Ghostbusters Afterlife in theaters the way it deserves to be seen. Now, trading her in... I
would send my relationship to the brink, but not over the edge.
Listen, if someone were to come to me and be like, dump her, and you get yourself an Ecto 1, I'd be like... I mean, I would do it, but I would definitely struggle over it for a little bit. But... Babe, sweetheart, if you're listening to this, I'm mostly joking, babe. I love you.
No, but, just picture it. He's going to be driving down the street in the Ecto 1 crying, going...
I did my best.
Ghostbusters!
But you see, now there's also stipulations, though. Now, if it's just the 1950, like the late 1950s Miller Meteor Cadillac hearse. Mm-hmm. If it's just that without the extra added things on it, I wouldn't dump her. I wouldn't dump her. Period. But you know what? If it was like, if a guy's like, "Hey, let me take your girlfriend on a date and you can have this car," I'd be like, "Take her. Have fun, babe. Be safe."
Not even a quick. The tank's filled up, right?
Yeah, and it's like, and then it's like if it was the Ecto 1 with all the added features, with the stretcher on the back, with the 4 proton packs, and I had myself the jumpsuits that like I could go to Florida with this thing and be like, hey, like, okay, Justin, like, you're in the chat here, buddy. Justin saw the pain and fear on my face firsthand when I saw the 2016 film. I sat down and he watched me, and he was laughing at me the entire movie. I was just confused and horrified by what I was seeing. So if some guy were to offer me that car from 2016, I'd gladly tell him just to take his little station wagon down the street and, just blow it up. That's what it deserves at that point. You just destroyed a beautiful artifact. But if it had all the added things and everything else, and say it was Tom Hiddleston and he wanted to sleep with Danielle, be like, dude, Danielle wouldn't even fight me for this. Tom Hiddleston comes up, oi, hey mate, can't sleep with a girlfriend. That's a horrible British accent, but you get it.
It sounded like you're going for Australian there.
Oh, it's, but either way, he's like, I'll give you the Ecto one if I can sleep with Danielle. I'd be like, I will look at Danielle. She'd look at me. She'd be like, I'll see you tomorrow. Be like, I will pick you up in the Ecto one.
Well, Israel, as we've talked about before, everybody has their price. God. And we found Brandon's price. But I'm talking about In the Heights.
There's nothing good about that movie.
In the Heights? You haven't seen it? Shut your face hole.
Is that the musical?
Yes.
There's nothing good about that music. That movie. But go ahead. I'm joking. I already pissed you off when I was going Rage Against the Machine with Back to the Future and pointing out all the discrepancies. I won't mess with this one. Go ahead.
Well, you know one of my pet peeves is people that talk trash about a movie that haven't seen it.
I know, and let me talk trash about a movie that I haven't seen. It is the American way.
But we have to change that.
Oh, God. To talk about In the Heights. It's a musical based on a musical
brought to you by the same guy that brought us Hamilton, Lin-Manuel Miranda, directed by John M. Chu. Let me set the stage for you real quick.
Justin, it was only a funny part of the experience. Yeah, fuck you too, man. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm not going to sing. But,
yep.
In the Heights.
Well, you can sing. I did a horrible British accent.
Well, I don't know the songs. Okay. I mean, I've listened to it on Spotify, as one does, and I dug what I heard, but it's not as... It's not as catchable as Hamilton is. Some of the stuff goes like by really, really fast. But the description reads, the scent of cafecito caliente hangs in the air just outside of the 181st Street subway stop, where a kaleidoscope of dreams rallies this vibrant and tight-knit community. At the intersection of it all is the likable, magnetic bodega owner, Uznavi, who saves every penny from his daily grind as he hopes, imagines, and sings about a better life. So it's about life in the Heights. Set the music.
Okay.
That's why I'm anticipating it, because I love musicals, for one.
So it's pretty much like a... Okay. It doesn't sound horrible. My thing is if it is to the scale of Hamilton, I can't do it. Like,
no, I don't think it's going to reach the heights. You see what I did there? Of Hamilton. Hamilton is like a once in a generation thing, where it just becomes the grand poobah of pop culture for a little bit, even though it's from Broadway of all places. But In the Heights I'm banking on riding the coattails of Hamilton, strangely enough, even though it came first. But I also believe that it's going to be a very good movie with Anthony Ramos and Melissa Barrera and Corey Hawkins, Leslie Grace. Lin-Manuel himself is going to be in it, and you might remember him if you haven't really seen him perform. I'll say from how about Mary Poppins Returns?
Yep,
and that's a pretty good.
Yeah, he was the lamplighter.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you see, this is another thing. Going back to okay, no more death jokes. Okay, one more death joke. You talked me into it. This is another thing where I'm curious, with these, with musicals too. Again, it's like when you hear eerie music, when you hear eerie music, but you're reading the caption, eerie music. What if someone is deaf? They don't know what that music sounds like. what if like a deaf person's watching In the Heights and they have to watch it with the captions on, and they see upbeat music or sad music. Okay, I'll stop. I'm going to go into a really offensive realm, and for our deaf listeners, I don't want to offend them. Okay, I'll stop.
Just to answer your question real quick. I think
I had some
Jameson. When it comes to hearing impaired viewings of things like this, there is a certain amount of lighting that has to be prepared to kind of reflect the different tones and rhythms of the music. So it's kind of a visually stimulating. Have you seen Mr. Holland's Opus?
I have.
And you remember
See,
that. Spoilers,
I have to say this.
His son is deaf.
I have to say this as a disclaimer. Anyone who's going to get offended by my joking, you'll survive. It is just a joke. I'm not that cruel. It's just something that's cracking me up based off of a meme that I saw. That's about it.
But you might have actually raised a good question for somebody genuinely curious. And I think Mr. Holland's Opus does a very good job.
And that's exactly why I said what I said.
Yes. You make a very valid point. And during that movie, like I said, Mr. Holland, spoilers for Mr. Holland's Opus, and this is a man that lives music, but his son is born deaf. Irony. And he wants his son to be able to enjoy music. So he puts together a show and has these huge lighting rigs set up to kind of, it's like a graphical equalizer that people can see and they feel, the bass to know that it's a bassy part. And it's actually a pretty cool performance, seeing something that's set up for the hearing impaired.
Yeah. And Mr. Holland's Opus was it was a very, very good movie. I think it's a beautifully done film.
Mm-hmm. Very much.
But I mean, no, it's like, and I mean, all like dark humor aside, it is actually a beautifully done film, and it really like just shows like how far he went just to introduce his son to something. Because like it's been years, but wasn't he was a he was like a conductor, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was.
So
what do they call it? A composer.
Composer, that's right. But so either way, really, this whole conversation, like the meme, there was a meme, and I was watching a clip today on my lunch break of Dunham with his that pup that has like the monkey looking one, Peanut.
Yeah,
and he's recalling a story about how they're doing a set, and they look over, they realize that there's a person signing to the audience, or signing to a specific group in the audience. And so he just starts spouting off random words that make no sense, like stop sign, turtle, dinosaur, and the guy's keeping up because someone brought a group of deaf people to go see a ventriloquist. So he said other times, like Peanut's mouth would be moving, but they wouldn't be saying anything. So the signer would just sit there with his hands like folded, and the deaf people would be looking at him, looking at Jeff Dunham, looking back at him like just. It's 2021, everybody. We've survived 2020. We're off to an interesting start this year. The least we can do is just fucking laugh. That's all. So let's move on with our list, though. Like, what else you got? Like, what is your next anticipated movie?
Well, my next anticipated movie of this year is kind of a surprise to me as well, because I was not on board originally, but as soon as I saw the original, I was like, oh, this was surprisingly amazing. And that movie was The Hitman's Bodyguard.
Okay. Oh yeah, the sequel's coming out this year, isn't it?
Yes, The Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard is coming out. And it's only to describe... no, I'm going to use the voice to read this description from Letterboxd. The sequel to the assassin action comedy, The Hitman's Bodyguard. Yeah, that's all it has written. Directed by Patrick Hughes, coming back to take over... Well, to do the directing gig again. So we're getting Sam Jackson, we're getting Ryan Reynolds. Salma Hayek is, I'm guessing, the hitman's wife in this. And the first one took me by surprise so much that I couldn't help but say, I want more of this. And honestly, I would be very upset if this is not on the same level of the original. And if it isn't, it will always forever be one of those titles that should have been better off one and done. Because the first one, maybe it was just the time that I watched it, I don't know. But I was definitely pleasantly shocked to see how well I liked The Hitman's Bodyguard.
Okay.
So that's coming at some point. Specifically, August 20th. So mark your calendars, August 20th, for the Hitman, or for the Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard.
Okay. Well, let's check that out.
You want to talk about Clifford, the Big Red Dog?
Oh, no.
Yeah, neither do I.
No.
There are some movies on the release list that are pretty high up. Some of them, they're going to be talked about everywhere. Everybody's going to talk about Snake Eyes at some point. They're like, it's the new G.I. Joe movie. And, Suicide Squad's probably going to get a fair amount of talking about. Wicked is apparently coming this year, and I had no idea, but it is, I guess, a theatrical version of the Broadway show. It's the story of the Wicked Witch of the West from The Wizard of Oz, and it's one of those stories where I guess they kind of turn it on its head, look at things from her perspective. Who's the real bad guy here? That kind of thing. And when I first heard about the musical, I thought it was interesting. I wouldn't mind seeing it. It's not something I went out of my way for. I said already, I love musicals, but I haven't even listened to this soundtrack because it's on the edge of interest for me. It's taken a property that I enjoyed. The Wizard of Oz. Who doesn't enjoy watching The Wizard of Oz at least once in their life, right? And eventually you watch it again, show it to your kids, that kind of deal. And this is one of those, if it winds up on one of the services I subscribe to at some point, I'll definitely give it a watch. But I can't say it's, super anticipated. I'm trying to keep it to things that I would actually see in the theater. And I think another one that does come to mind, and it is one that maybe I won't see in the theater, but I will definitely wind up seeing it this year. And I can almost guarantee you that it is going to be on one of my end of the year lists. Death on the Nile.
Okay.
The follow-up? Is that a follow-up to Murder on the Orient Express?
I'm not too sure.
Yes, it is Death on the Nile. Belgian sleuth Hercule Poirot Egyptian vacation aboard a glamorous river steamer turns into a terrifying search for a murderer when a picture-perfect couple's idyllic honeymoon is tragically cut short. So yeah, it's I don't know what the deal is with this guy on modes of transportation and having to solve murders, but the remake of Murder on the Orient Express was, I loved it. I loved everything about it, and this one is going to be much of the same, directed by Kenneth Branagh. Gal Gadot, Armie Hammer's in it. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. Love the classic stories of murder and betrayal. I just watched North by Northwest the other day, and I want more of that. I want more just simple. There's this guy, and he's trying to uncover a mystery. That's what I want to see more of in the world. I love my superhero movies. I love my musicals. God knows, but when it comes to films, I want to see more of that classic, amazing cinematography. I want to see great performances. I want to see like a return to a golden age of filmmaking when the story was, and also a major part of it, where it doesn't seem so cookie cutter.
Yeah,
I'm assuming this makes sense to you.
Yeah, no, I got it.
So that's another one I'm looking forward to. One that, again, is supposed to be out this year. Unfortunately, due to blah, 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 we lost it. And that movie is Free Guy. Directed by Sean Levy, starring Ryan Reynolds. A bank teller called Guy realizes he is a background character in an open-world video game called Free City that will soon go offline.
No, I've heard about that one. I was actually pretty excited about that one. So is that just not being released this year now, or what?
It was supposed to be released last year. I don't remember when, but it's coming this year in May.
Okay.
Apparently, Jacksepticeye's in it as Qbert. So Qbert's in it?
Fresh back from the movie Pixels. Gotcha.
Yeah,
well,
and Wreck-It Ralph.
Yep. You know, honestly, the one movie I'm really excited to see because I want to see it done right. And I love the original one that was done back in the mid-90s. Mortal Kombat. Mortal Kombat is finally due to come out this year. And I respect the filmmakers with, the film, with what they did with Ghostbusters Afterlife and with Mortal Kombat. They're keeping production so under wrap that you don't know shit about the movies. You know nothing about it. But what I do know is this one actor, the guy playing Scorpion, Hiroyuki Sanada. You know, he's been in quite a few things. I mean, he's been in let's see his films. I mean, this guy is like 60 years old. He's playing Scorpion. But the guy's a badass. I mean, if you've seen some of the films he's been in, because he was in the Wolverine. He played that Shinjin Yoshida guy. He was in 47 Ronin, Oishi Yoshio, and he was just pretty much, he was a badass in these. But Mortal Kombat, I'm so excited to see what they do with this.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm thrilled over it. Like, I cannot wait. But But
But is it going to have a
mine.
bitchin' soundtrack like the original did?
Oh no, the original had like the best opening soundtrack. Like, I mean, I had that shit stuck in my head for a while when that came out. You know, do 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 do. And then like the soundtrack. If you didn't know it was a Mortal Kombat theme song, you were an idiot. Because I mean, the very person that said in that title is Mortal Kombat, some guy shouting it. And then to make it even more, prevalent that it is in fact a Mortal Kombat theme song, it lists all the characters.
Kano, Raiden, Liu Kang, Johnny Cage. Yeah. I love, and that's the it's funny.
Sub-Zero, Sonya, Mortal Kombat. It's like if you're listening to that song, you're like, oh, what's this song called? I'm like, well, what's this a song for?
No. The soundtrack of this actually changed lives, okay? Because I bought it immediately for that song, right? And there were a couple of tracks on it that I really dug. And I let a friend of mine borrow it. And I say friend of mine, I've known him since 7th grade. And he took it and he fell in love with the exact opposite tracks that I did. So I was listening to Utah Saints and Typo Negative, and he was like, Fear Factory's the bomb, man. Well, he didn't say it like that, but he was fell in love with the Fear Factory that day, and I was like, oh, okay, yeah,
yep,
Fear Factory. Raw.
Well, but you see, there are two albums to the Mortal Kombat movie in 1995. There was the soundtrack, and then there was a second album that came out with more songs that they weren't featured in the movie, but there are songs that were, I think, going to be in the movie, but they didn't make the cut. But so they made another soundtrack. But that soundtrack actually ended up being used in the Mortal Kombat cartoon, Defenders of the Realm.
And we don't need to talk about Mortal Kombat.
Little trivia for you. So, and it's all very 90s rock music too. I mean, it's just it's like if you go back and listen to the Blade soundtrack, like all the techno and everything else on there. I mean, it's just it's catchy, but it's very dated.
It starts off with and now for a taste of things to come.
There were.
Yeah.
There are songs on. There are rock songs on there that have the classic 90s style music where everything ends in the sound of a vowel. There's this one song called Deeper Down. I forget who sang. I think it's by a band called The Immortals. But the song Deeper Down. The lyrics, I don't know what I got to be. I never had a chance to see. I left my life behind. Never it sounds like a damn garage band 90s song. But either way, awesome soundtrack. Pretty awesome movie. And I'm looking forward to seeing what they do, because the original movie didn't really have what made Mortal Kombat so controversial. It had the violence, but it didn't have the blood.
No, it didn't.
The most gruesome thing that you see in that movie is seriously just, Shang Tsung getting impaled at the end of the movie. And also on top of that, the only powers that you really saw were Sub-Zero's spear.
Scorpion's spear.
Well, I guess Sub-Zero's ice blast for a scene. And then him just randomly turning in that freezing force field kind of deal.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's see what else. Then you also had Scorpion Spear, his teleportation. They had what was supposed to be a fatality, which Johnny Cage blocked with the shield. I think Johnny Cage's very brief shadow kick. I don't know if that was actually his shadow kick or if it was just him being sucked into the being teleported. Never understood that part. But
I think it was definitely supposed to hint at the shadow kick.
Yeah, I think it was like an homage to it. But then you had what do you call it? Liu Kang do his very brief fireball, but it was more like a fire punch at the end of the movie when he knocked Shang Tsung onto the spikes.
Yeah.
And then there's Shang Tsung. But really, like, the other characters...
Shape-shifting like a mofo.
Oh, yeah. And, like, his shape-shifting, just, like, it didn't... And, again, I love this movie for, like, multiple reasons, but even his shape-shifting, sometimes it was legit, like, morphing into a person. But at the beginning of the movie, when he's... pretty much Master Ken, I think his name is, talking to Johnny Cage, making it like urging him to come to the tournament. When he starts walking away, instead of morphing, it's just the disguise just kind of like just dematerializes off of him. You know what I'm saying? It's just like kind of like just it like blows off in like ash or like dust or something. Little pixie dust is what it looks like coming off of him. But all the other scenes, he's actually, amazing shape-shifting. I thought it was awesome. But this, I want to see how dark they get, because there was an online series that, for some of our listeners, if you haven't seen this, Machinima put it out, and it was Mortal Kombat Legacy, I think. Was it Legacy? I think it was Mortal Kombat Legacy. There are 2 seasons of it. And they are extremely, very dark episodes. They're each like 10 to 15 to 20 minutes.
I've seen a few of them.
And you see, season 2, when it actually turns into them fighting on the island for the first time. Scorpion and Sub-Zero having their little thing in the first season and then having their rematch in the second season. I mean, it was just awesome to watch this stuff. It really was. So, I'm just super stoked about the Mortal Kombat movie. I can't wait. But
let's see. If I'm not mistaken, you only have to wait about 3 months, because it's supposed to come out April 21st. April 16th.
I think it's going to be a dual release too. It's going to come out in theaters and it's going to come out on HBO Max.
Which means I am guaranteed to watch it opening weekend.
Oh, yeah. So, let's go ahead and do like one more each here. What else you got? Make it a good one.
Oh, I have to make it a good one then. Okay.
Well, you don't want to make the last one on the show a shitty one.
No, but I also want to make sure that it's one that I'm actually anticipating, and I don't just, that one looks like it's a popular pick. I'll look at that one. That's an English accent.
Yeah, that's so much better than mine.
Now I feel bad.
No, don't. That was good. It kind of, does it for me.
Tell that to the critics in high school when I had to do a Carol for Tiny Tim. Yeah. They're like, you can't do an English accent, and you're playing Tiny Tim. By the way, for those that don't know, A Christmas Carol, the Charles Dickens classic, has a sequel. Yes, it's called A Carol for Tiny Tim. So, sequels have been around forever. Just so you know. Let's see. No. I want it to be cool, but I also want it to be something that you know what? No. See, here I am. I'm overthinking crap, and it's really bringing the show to a grinding halt. I'm not going to say Top Gun. I'm not going to say Godzilla versus blah blah blah. You know what? I will. Okay, I'm gonna go for it. It's another musical. That's right, another musical. Brandon.
Okay. It's okay. Go for it.
And not only is it a musical, it's a remake.
Okay.
I'm of course talking about Steven Spielberg's version of West Side Story.
Oh, God. I feel pretty. Oh, so pretty. Yeah.
That's My Fair Lady.
I'm good. What?
That's My Fair Lady.
That was West Side Story, wasn't it?
No.
No, that was West Side Story.
Well, I'll look it up, bro. Okay, it is West Side Story. Son of a bitch.
It's West Side.
And I'm the one that loves musicals.
Listen, I've watched it I've seen the movie so many times. I actually like West Side Story, and I love like the whole when they're about to fight, they start doing the whole, forearms going up and down, fingers clicking when they do it. Like if I ever were run into like a street gang, about ready to fight their rival street gang, they have like a perfectly choreographed dance between the two of them. I just fucking run.
Those are the kind of street toughs that I want to run into.
Like I live in the fucking hood, dude. Like I live like in an area that my girlfriend does not like me going out like at night. But if I were to see that would be that would be some scary shit.
Okay, I'm gonna say it right now. I have not seen West Side Story.
Okay.
So I'm not super familiar with the soundtrack. I always thought that the I Feel Pretty thing was not from that. So yeah, and to be fair, I've only seen parts of My Fair Lady. So you know, some big musical fan I am. I've been in. That's a joke. Some of you will gonna catch on later, but it's because of its status as one of, I guess, the greatest, musicals of all time, and because Steven Spielberg has, decided to direct this. Anything Steven Spielberg comes out with, I'm, automatically gonna have a ticket to see. Because it's Steven Spielberg, and I trust him as a director. I trust his vision to bring me something that will make it worth my money. And in this day and age, especially, I find investing in important things like my money to be very, crucial. You have to choose carefully what you think your money is going to go towards to not necessarily improve your life, but there are so many things that you can do with that. We'll say $15, right, to get in. And if somebody's going to earn that ticket price, I have to be confident that I'm going to get that money's worth. Steven Spielberg has never failed to get my money's worth. I will stand by. I don't want to say I'll stand by anything he's done, because there are some things that, not as great as other things, but when you're doing it for as long as you do, not everything's going to be the best thing in the world. Understandable, but I digress. The really important thing to remember is when you are shelling out your hard-earned cash to watch somebody's work, to watch something like this, is it worth your time? Because money, yeah, you'll eventually get that back. You might be irritated that you spent it, but you'll get it back eventually. It'll replace itself. But time is definitely not something you could ever get back. Once it's gone, it's gone. So Steven Spielberg not only has earned my investment of money when it comes to watching his art, but also my time. I will always give him the time from my life to tell his story, to tell me the story that he wants me to see, because, like I said, I trust his vision, and that is why West Side Story makes my list of most anticipated movies of 2021. So, Brandon, that means you close this out with your final anticipated movie of 2021, and much like I did, make sure it's a good one.
Candyman. Hands down, Candyman. If there's anything I'm looking forward to seeing anywhere near as much as Ghostbusters Afterlife, it is Candyman. Because the first one's one of my favorite horror films. I love Candyman. And this one, I don't know if this is a... I don't know how they're going to tell us, because Tony Todd is coming back to reprise his role as Candyman. He was 38 years old when he played the character in 1992. He's 66 years old now, and obviously he has aged quite a bit. But it's a direct sequel to the original, and there's supposed to be like some kind of a connection to the protagonist in this movie. So I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with it. It's going to be like a modernized version of all these things. It's just something that I personally, I've been looking forward to since I first read about it. Even if it was a reboot, I would probably go see it, because even though I hate reboots and remakes, there are a handful of decent ones when it comes to horror. Friday the 13th was a phenomenal remake in my mind. And, it's kind of hard to fuck up a Jason movie, but, Jason X does exist. But it's just something I've been thrilled to see since I first read about it. The people that are involved with the production, I mean, you have Ian Cooper, Wynn Rosenfeld, Jordan Peele, Nia DaCosta is, she's directing it. So it's like, but I mean, the screenplay is written by Jordan Peele and, co-written by him. I loved Us. I loved Get Out. And I mean, it's just anything of his, I'm a fan. Like, I love what he does. But that's fine.
Again, I find myself kind of, at a loss here. I've not seen the original Candyman, but I will. I'll read the synopses of this real quick. Anthony and his partner move into a loft in the now gentrified Cabrini. After a chance encounter with an old-timer exposes Anthony to the true story behind Candyman, he unknowingly opens a door to a complex past that unravels his own sanity and unleashes a terrifying wave of violence.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the Candyman. And your final most anticipated movie of 2021. Now, Brandon, what is your most anticipated social media contact of 2021?
Oh, well, you can find the WADcast on Instagram. Just look up the WADcast, black circle with a white banner, and it says WADcast in it. Same thing for Facebook, facebook.com/the WADcast. But you got to put the WADcast there, because if it's just a WADcast, that's some other podcast that I think is with all due offense, whatever. I don't know. But either way, so it's a different WADcast. So that's really where you can reach us. Go to thewadcast.com. The website is up there. We have all of our episodes on there. They stream on there also while we do these. So if you want to go to the WADcast from now on, you can catch our show playing live on there. So, Josh, what about you?
Well, as always, you can find me on Twitter at skitcomic, SKITCYMIC. And shoot me a message. Let me know what you think about the show. Let me know what you think about all of the other fine Semicore Studio shows. You can always find the WADcast on Twitter at WADcastPod. And you can find Semicore Studios at Semicore Studios. Yeah, I know. I'm making it super crazy complicated to reach us. Basically, if you can't reach us, you're not trying to reach us. That's what it all boils down to. I hope you go to the Facebook page, give it a like. That way you can be here each and every Friday night as we go live and chat with everybody like Israel and Justin did. You know, we had pretty good back and forth with those dudes, and then the comments, even though I see you there. I saw the people dropping by, checking out what things are about, hearing what we have to say. And we're not asking for a big commitment of your time, but if you want to drop in, make sure you say hello. Let us know you're here. And if you're listening to us on a delayed basis, via your favorite podcatcher or Spotify or whatever, make sure you rate, review, subscribe. That way everybody can see us climb the algorithmic ladder, and more people will know about that weird podcast that you listen to that talks about writers, actors, and directors. So I will always tell you to go to semicorestudios.com. That way you can find out all about the latest and greatest from Semicore Studios, including things like Sunday nights at 7 with Jack Benny. That's right, every Sunday night we're replaying classic episodes of the Jack Benny program from the 40s and 30s, and it's some old stuff, but it's great. So, with all that being said, I'm going to ask Brandon if he has any final words for you, beloved audience.
Nope.
Okay, well then I guess there's only one thing left to do. Since I hit the music to play us out, I'm going to remind you, boys and girls, it's 2021. The only thing standing between you and your dreams is you. It's a new year. A fresh start. If you want to follow your dreams, now's the time to do it. Not tomorrow, but yesterday. Get going. And who knows, maybe one day we'll be talking about your art right here on the WADcast.